Okay, guys, today we are talking about writing inequalities with variables on both sides. So the first thing that it is going to go through is the different symbols that we have for the inequalities. So first off, it tells you that an inequality is a relation between two expressions that are not equal to one another. Remember equations, we have the equal sign in the middle of the two expressions, and then inequalities, we're going to have a inequality symbol in between the two, which can be less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And there's a few other words that mean the same thing. I'm not going to go through them in detail because we can read, but they are there. So when it comes to inequalities with variables on both sides, I'm going to go through a couple of steps. I'm going to write the steps on the side as well as show you the work throughout. So the first thing that we are going to do is read our word problem, and we do the two read. The first time we read just to get an understanding of what we're talking about. The second time we do the reading so that we can underline information and start picking out stuff. So it says Jaden and Anaya are reading the same book for their English class. Jaden is on page 100 of the book, and he reads 1/4 of a page each minute. Anaya is on page 88 of the book, and she reads half a page each minute. How many minutes will it take for Anaya to have read more pages than that of Jaden? So now let's see what information we have. It says that they are both reading. We know that we are comparing Jaden, which I am going to underline his information in blue. And then we are comparing Anaya, who I am going to underline her information in pink. So again, Jaden is on page 100. That's where he's already starting at. He's already there. And he's reading 1/4 of a page each minute. Whereas Anaya is on page 88 and she's reading a half a page each minute. So according to this, our step one was to identify or underline our information. Underline key information. Underline key information was step one. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to create what we call a T-chart. A T-chart has two different sides for information. And we have more room at the bottom so we can add information up under it. And the top is going to be used as our labels. So step two is to create your T-chart. For the T-chart, what we do is we label based off of what we're comparing. In this particular word problem, we are comparing Jaden versus Anaya. So I'm going to put Jaden on one side, and then I'm going to put Anaya on the other side. And then I'm going to see what numbers go under Jaden versus what numbers go under Anaya. So Jaden is on page 100. And he is reading 1/4 per minute. That 1/4 per, that per is what gets the variable. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. Or each minute, each, per, every, any of that. I'm going to circle that because that's what gets your variable. I'm going to go ahead and circle it for Anaya as well because that's what gets your variable. Another way to know what gets your variable is what is the question asking you? And it says how many minutes will it take for them to catch up? So since we're asking about minutes, the ones that says each minute, that's what gets your variable. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and write Anaya's numbers. Anaya is on page 88. And she reads 1/2 of a page per minute. So 1/2, I'm sorry, each minute, and X. And then the final question says, how many minutes will it take for Anaya to have read more pages than Jaden? So we want Anaya to have more pages than Jaden. Remember the alligator symbol where we say the alligator eats the bigger number? So we want it to go, we want our sign to open up towards whatever we want to be more. And we want Anaya to be more, so our sign will go this way. It just needs to open up towards Anaya. Doesn't matter which way you write it, it needs to open towards Anaya. So I'm going to move this over here. Last thing that we need to determine is, it says that he was on page 100 and he reads. So every time he reads, he's adding to his number of pages read. So we're going to put an addition sign and an addition sign. So after you create your T-chart, step 3 is to label the two sides. Step 4 is to place numbers under each. Step 5 is to determine your variable. And then step 6 is going to be determine your inequality. And then once you write it out, step 7 is write out your inequality. We do not solve inequalities in 8th grade. So once you write it out, you are done. So to write out my inequality, I'm going to write out exactly what I have here, which is 100 plus 1/4 x is less than 88 plus 1/2 x. Okay. And you're done. Exactly how you have it right here in your T-chart is how you write it out. So we're going to go to number 2 and follow our same steps to make sure that this all makes sense to us. It says to have a birthday party at an ice skating rink, Chris would pay $50 plus $19.25 per person. To have a party at Urban Air, he would pay $125 plus $7.50 per person. How many people would Chris need to have at his party in order for the cost of a party at the ice skating rink to be more than a party at Urban Air? So the question is asking us about how many people. So we're going to go ahead and circle that per person because that's where our variable is going to be per person, per person. We have the ice skating rink, which would be 50 plus 19.25 per person. And then we have Urban Air, which is 125 plus 750 per person. So I'm going to go ahead and I underline my keywords. Step 2 was create your T-chart. So I'm going to go ahead and create my T-chart. For my T-chart, I am going to put the skating rink on one side. And then I'm going to put Urban Air on the other. Okay. To go skating, you are going to pay $50 plus $19.25 per person. So that gets your X. At Urban Air, you would pay $125 plus $750 per person. So that gets your X. Then it says, how many people would Chris need to have at his party in order for the cost of a party at the ice skating rink to be more than, we want the skating to be more than. So skating, we want it to open up towards skating so it can be more than. Okay, now to write out our equation, what our final product would be is 50 plus 1925 x is more than 125 plus 750x. Number 3. Peter will be hosting a weekend-long video game birthday bash. He can buy an Xbox One for $409, or he can rent an Xbox One for $100 per day. In both cases, he must rent video games for $50 per day. Write an inequality that shows the number of days Peter must gain for the cost of buying the Xbox to be less than renting the Xbox. So over here, both of them are Xboxes, but the difference is one we are renting and one we are buying. So we're going to compare renting versus buying. Renting versus buying. So he can buy an Xbox for $409. So he can buy it for $409. Or he can rent for $100 per day. So $100 per day. In both cases, so rather if he rent or buy, he needs to rent the rest of the video games for everyone else to play. So renting is $50 per day for both. So 50x and 50x, because both of them he need video games. He have the video games that he want to play, but for all of his other friends to play on different systems, then he needs to rent all those other games. So that's why rather if he rent or buy, he still needs to get the video games. So here we're going to go back to this earlier unit. We have two x's on this side, so we can combine like terms. Okay, since we have two x's, we're going to combine like terms first. So 100 plus 50 is 150x, and that takes care of that and that. We no longer have those, we just have the 150x. And then this one, we have two different like terms. So we want to know which one is going to be for buying an Xbox to be less than renting. We want buying to be less than renting, which is basically saying renting needs to be more. So we're going to go this way. We need renting to be more. And now we can write out our equation. We have, our inequality, which is going to be 150x is more than 409 plus 50x plus 50x. Okay, and number 4, a local cupcake shop has a daily operating cost of $600 plus a cost of $250 per cupcake they make. If a cupcake sells for $5, write an inequality that can be used to determine the number of cupcakes they must sell each day to make money. So this is a little different as well. We're still going to create our T-chart. We're going to go through and underline. So to make a cupcake, they have to pay $600, probably like for their building, for their electricity, utilities, different things like that. So they're paying $600 for their machines, ovens, all of that. Plus they have to pay $250 per cupcake to make it. So on this side, we have making cupcakes. To make cupcakes, they have to spend $600 plus the $250 per cupcake. Now they're going to sell cupcakes. So over here we have sell cupcakes. And they're selling cupcakes for $5 a piece. $5 a piece. So that is 5x. Okay? We want to know what is it going to take for how many cupcakes they must sell to make money. And to make money, you basically want to sell more than you are spending. You want to make more than you're spending. So this $5 is the amount of money that they are selling the cupcakes for. So that's the amount of money that people are paying them. Making cupcakes, this is the amount of money that they're spending to get cupcakes. So you want selling cupcakes to be more than making cupcakes. If making cupcakes is more than selling cupcakes, then you need to go out of business because you're not making any money. You want to sell more money, you want to get more money from the people, then you put in. So now to write that out, we have 600 plus 250x is less than $5 x, 5x. Okay? Now you're going to go on to your next assignment, which is a independent practice.